We're live on a Tuesday edition of Cleveland Browns Daily. I am Early Bo. He is the great Z. Nice, relaxing morning for you?
Yeah, I don't know if I'm on or not. Am I on?
No, I don't believe you are.
Oh, I got this thing again.
Oh,
Boom! I forgot.
it's been a minute.
It's been a minute since we've been in this studio. Oh, baby. Now we're
Now
on.
you know. Now you know you're on.
Mic light on. We're on.
I think Connor's got his hands full with enough stuff going on that we won't. But when we get to the off season, the next step would be mounting it
Up top.
Yeah. So you can.
And also have one for you a button for you to
Yeah,
press.
and then you're good. Yeah. That's it. That's all you got to
Maybe
do.
like a two-sided one. So there's like buttons on either side. And you just go, you press, I press. Boom. Yeah.
And like you turn that key, both of us at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah, not a lot going on. I haven't heard much
Not yet.
about the Browns in the news.
No, it's been quiet. I haven't seen anything. No, I've
neither.
gotten no text from Browns fans wanting to know what's going on. Nothing. It's been
nothing.
actually
I haven't heard
very
anything
quiet.
about the dome. I haven't heard anything about.
There's been nothing about receivers for other teams. There's nothing
I don't
about
even know what you're
domes.
talking about.
There's
Yeah.
nothing that. It's been a lot of. So what the hell happened on the season finale of House of the Dragon? I've gotten that a little bit.
By the way, I haven't watched it yet. Have you?
Okay.
I heard it basically that the show should have ended with the penultimate, which is basically people complaining, thinking that the season finale is supposed to go back and watch Game of Thrones seasons 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The penultimate episode is always the finale, and the next episode kind of sets the table for the next season.
yeah,
Always.
you'd get a. Well, we'll talk about it once you've seen it.
But that's what I heard. And I heard people complaining about it, and I'm like, but that's what they do.
Yeah.
You get think about it. Ned Stark was episode 9.
Oh yeah.
Not 10,
Blackwater.
Blackwater.
Yeah.
Red Wedding.
All that
That's
stuff.
999.
Yeah, they're all nines. Yeah. I don't know if our episode 9, as it were,
Was enough.
was on that level.
Well, sure.
It really wasn't.
That was pretty good,
That was
though.
more like their 4.
if it-
4 was that way because that's when you had the.
But if it had ended with like the scene of her with the 3 dragons behind her, that's a pretty good closer. And it ties back to Daenerys ending the one season
said
with
that
the
this morning.
dragons as well. So
She
like,
finished with that, and then the one time when she got the Unsullied and they
Yeah.
panned
Yeah.
out,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
all that.
Oh, yeah.
So it ain't that.
No. Okay. All right. Anyway,
But irregardless,
by the way, I gotta tell you, just a real quick funny story.
I have my notes.
I just finished interviewing new Browns receiver Jerry Jeudy. And he and I have gotten along really well. I've interviewed him a few times now, and
You're a likable guy, despite what some people say.
That's right.
A lot of warning about that there was a certain type of human you were, and I didn't find that at all. I found you very likable.
Thank
I
you.
find you someone who gulps life.
Yeah, I try to have a certain affability about me. But so we were just kind of BSing, and then when it started, I did what you would do or I do, a 3, 2, 1, and then Nathan Zaguro alongside Jerry's like, your voice changed. I'm like, yeah, baby, that's the
Big B.
This is the Big B voice, right? Exactly. So he got a big kick out of that, which I thought was funny, and I'm sure that's probably happened to you at some point as well.
Yeah.
All right. So we were kidding a little bit at the beginning.
Hold on.
Okay. All right.
Because we have to, let me set the table because there are probably people who are coming out here today.
I got boards.
You've got boards. There's copious notes. Practice is slated
Yes.
at 4:15 today.
That's right.
Those gates open at 3:15 today. Now,
That's right.
unless you've been
Under
in
a rock.
a cave,
Yeah.
you are aware that we have had a lot of weather already this morning. I mean, it's rained.
That's not where I thought you were going there.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah. So we've had a lot. So pay attention to that going forward. We will update you on any changes that could come from the team.
Miss K's supposed to see Hosier tonight at Blossom.
I don't know what that is.
Singer. Take Me to Church. Remember that
Oh,
song?
yeah.
Yeah. Hosier. I probably said Hosier. Hosier.
Brock's shaking. He knows. He's
Yeah.
okay.
But it's outdoors. I mean, it feels like if
Well,
you're
I'm
on
sure
the
you
grass
sprung
at
for
Blossom,
I'm sure with all your.
I'm not going. This wasn't me. This was done.
Oh, she did it on her own?
Well, she was invited by one of her former colleagues here.
Well, we know what happened when Miss K books plane tickets. You're in 36E. We love her.
We love her.
But,
I'm fine with that, by the way.
no, you're not.
Well, look.
Hustling back there.
Whatever. Just get my plane to take off. How about that? If my plane
You
takes
love it.
off,
You love a 36E on a connector.
that's where we're
30
at.
minutes.
If
late.
it
That's
takes
fine.
off on time and lands on time, I don't care where I sit. Put me in
Those
the.
are huge ifs.
I had one of my great friends, Dizio, was supposed to go to Ireland for like a 10-day family reunion.
Yep.
And he is a family of 5. He's got grown kids. They're all in college or out of college. And the one that was in Chicago made it. The one that was in New York, he and his son in Ohio, his wife, son in Ohio, they went to New York to fly from New York over to Ireland and get with their daughter, and they were all going to fly together. Canceled for like 3 days in a row. Wouldn't even fly him back to Cleveland, so they ended up renting a car and driving home from New York and now not going to Ireland, but their one daughter is in Ireland with the rest of the family.
This is where we're at.
This is where we're at. No accountability, no nothing. No nothing. This is where we're at.
I don't think I told you this. On our flight to Boston 2 weeks ago, I guess almost 2 weeks ago tomorrow.
Yep.
6:05 departure. We're loaded by 10 to 6.
Yep.
Right? Everybody's in. That's early for the kids. Everybody's in. We're ready to go. And we sit. 15 minutes goes by. 20 minutes goes by.
On the plane.
On the plane. Pilot gets on and goes, we've got a little bit of delay here. We anticipate this being fine. There are no tight connections. Looks like Boston's a final destination. We're going to get there. It's not a problem. But we're going to be a little bit delayed here, probably another 10, 15 minutes. Comes back on in 10 or 15 minutes and says,
still delayed.
So here he basically goes, so here's what's happened. My co-pilot left his identification in the hotel, and he can't get on the plane without the identification, like his ID card, to which I am blown. My mind is blown that this is what's holding this up, that there's not a retina scanner that this guy can do.
I can retina scan to go through clear.
Right.
And they know it's me.
Exactly. Just retina scan him. Let's go. Pop him in. So he comes on and says, left his thing. It's taking longer. We thought we'd be able to send somebody to go get the ID. They can't find it at the hotel. The hotel can't find it. Now the pilot is going to have to leave Hopkins and go to the hotel to get the ID himself. So a 6:05 departure ended up being 7:50. We sat on the plane the whole time. We did get there. You know, it's fine. So it's a win.
Yeah,
it was fine. It was fine. I didn't have a connection. It was fine. But the co-pilot, didn't even show his face. So he slunk on, and then he slunk off.
Yep.
So, like, as soon as the door opened, he was gone. So the pilot had to sit there and suffer the slings and arrows as this guy got to bounce because he forgot his ID. And I thought we brought down air travel because we don't have a physical identification. Nuts.
By the way, in the state of Ohio now, you can add your driver's license to your Apple Wallet and use it. So he could have done that.
That would have been helpful.
Yeah.
That would have been very helpful. There's a great many ways to identify oneself at this point.
Yeah.
So that's where you stand on that. All right, let's do chronologically, and we're going to have Wyatt Teller on with us momentarily, I believe. I think is that happening soon, or do we know?
Yeah, I'm in contact with Gibbs.
Me too.
The great Joe Hayden's back there.
By the way, Gibbe having a rough day. He failed to let Mo Pedman know that availability was actually at 1 and not at 11:15. So Mo Pedman showed up at 11:15 and then is busy at 1, and so it caused a little bit of a kerfuffle. And I haven't seen apologetic Gibbe like that. Have you guys ever seen him that apologetic or that beaten down? No. It was
He took it.
It was he was.
He felt like he was entirely in the wrong.
He knew he was entirely.
He
in the
blew
wrong.
it.
Yeah.
He blew it.
Yeah.
Is it his responsibility to put that information out, or is that the responsibility of the person doing the interview to pay attention to Brown's communication?
Probably. I believe he told him. To be here at that time.
Ouch. Well,
Yeah, which he had told me this morning too when I texted him. He's like, "Make sure you're here. This is this plan," and I was going to be here anyway, but it was fine.
It was different.
Yeah.
All right, Za'Darius first.
Za'Darius,
Scary,
but
in the moment, but
fine.
okay.
I'm told good.
So that's very, very good.
Yep.
We have.
Yeah, I didn't even see it happen yesterday. So
I
got
left.
all of a sudden I got a text. I stayed for the whole practice, but I don't know when it maybe it happened from the time that I ran out onto the field, or I don't know. But I didn't even see it, and so when all of a sudden I was getting questions, how's Za'Darius? I'm like, fine. And then I looked on Twitter and I saw he'd been carted off, and I got very nervous. And then, talked to some people who know some people who are some people.
Yeah.
And I was told, good.
It's a long list, though.
It's too long of a list.
Nicks here and there.
It's too long of a list.
Yeah.
And a contusion is a bruise.
Yep. I wish they'd just say that.
That's the medical term.
Yeah. Oh, hold on.
Hold, please.
Hold, please.
I don't have anything.
Okay. And then we'll discuss 49ers receivers and everything else, and then why it'll be down the road.
Yes. Yep.
Okay. All right. Very good. So we have a lot to discuss. Joe Hayden's going to come in and discuss a lot of this with us.
Is he right
yeah,
now?
he's going to come in right now. He's right there. He's going to come in. We're going to take a quick timeout.
Okay.
And then Joe Hayden will join us. We'll discuss all of the rumors that are out there, and there's a lot going on. It's been a very busy last 24 hours. We'll get into all of that coming up next. Those are your hot topics of the day, presented by University Hospital, official healthcare partner of your Cleveland Browns. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Homeowners, are you looking for a stimulus package to upgrade your home's exterior? Well, look no further than my friends at Renault Home Exteriors. Whether you need new siding, roofing, stonework, the team at Renew Home Exteriors is going to have you covered. And here's the best part. For the month of August, you get a 10% rebate on your project and enjoy 0% interest for 5 years. So say goodbye to high-interest payments when you choose Renew. Renew will let you see how your home will look before you upgrade with that 3D model rendering. That's spectacular. Upgrade today. Save big. Visit RenewEstimate.com for a free estimate today. Joined in studio, Joe Hayden in studio with us. Good to see you, my friend.
Good to see you too.
What a treat.
Before we get into the Aiyuk stuff and all of the rumors out there, I know you have a great many things to say. We did get this from Matt LaFleur. We're going to play the Packers. Jordan Love is going to start Saturday against the Browns. They're going to play some of their guys. Before you think what we're going to do, I'm going to ask you that. I want to ask you this. How would you want to do this as a vet? How would you want to attack preseason football as a vet?
I would honestly, I want to get the younger guys out there first. I think the last game, I think the way we normally do it when the vets don't play the first game, second game, and the third game is kind of the dress rehearsal.
Yeah.
Just trying to keep us as healthy as possible because you know where the starters and the second strings kind of are. You want to give the younger dudes more time to develop, give them chances to go make plays. So for me, as a starter, I'm just really just trying to get through that thing healthy.
Yeah.
So when we get to that third dress rehearsal, I'm ready to go, making a couple of plays in that first quarter, and then we're getting out there waiting for week one.
How do you think it will go?
I don't know, because we have a little bit of what I would call a little bit of a wrench in that, in the sense that our first preseason game is this Saturday. The second preseason game will be a week of joint practices. So you definitely will not see any starters in the second preseason game. So it will be either a question of, do you want to do like a series in the first game with your starters and then get them out just so they can come out of the tunnel, get a little – by the way, that'll be the only chance that they'll get, I think, to play at home. So coming out of your locker room, coming out of the tunnel. So I could see a series for the starters in this game coming up on Saturday because, they, like I said, after the joint practices, they're going to get all those reps. They're not going to play. Just remember the Eagles game last year. Nobody played after the joint practices.
Yeah, it's gone the opposite way.
And
this is now the more likely one.
If
The second one comes out of the joint, so that's nothing.
No.
And then the third one is kind of like the last because you have the big break before you play games.
So I think you could see the stars in the third. Last year we played our stars in Kansas City, so I think you could see that again. Now, the issue with that is it's an absurd trip. We're going to Seattle for a preseason game that will
Does
be
Joe
played
know
at
this?
10
Does he
o'clock
know what we're
Eastern.
doing?
Yeah, we go to Seattle, and it's a 7 o'clock local kick. So it's a 10 Eastern kick in Seattle
the last
final
preseason
preseason game. Yes.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like a starters game to me.
No.
I don't know if they take the trip.
Yeah, right.
Get your sleep.
So it's in some ways, this would be the best game to get some work for your
Wyatt is ready
starters.
right now.
But at the other end of it, out of our top 22, we don't have a lot of those guys.
No, we don't. One of our starters is going to join us now. I'm told from down in the locker room, Wyatt Teller is on with us. We'll ask him. Wyatt, this is good to see you, buddy. It's great to see you out there.
Three-time Pro Bowler, Wyatt Teller.
You're right. It's a bad job out of me for not making that. That should have been in the introduction.
Yeah.
Three-time Pro Bowler, Wyatt Teller. How do you guys view this preseason? We were just kind of going over it. Joe Hayden here joining Nathan I in studio as well. How do you view the preseason, and what's the ideal path for you?
Yeah, no, I mean, preseason is a great time to, get some reps and everything like that. I mean, I'm not sure exactly what the snap count or anything like that is, or, rep count, but, getting out and, getting back into the game, that process of, getting your mind ready to play in a game, everything like that, even if it is for, a drive, 2 drives, a quarter, 2 quarters, whatever it is, just getting into the right mindset. It's always nice, getting ready for a game, preparation, everything like that before we get into like the real season and everything is, so compartmentalized. But yeah, no, I mean, I'm excited.
Why, when you look at kind of the way that the preseason is laid out for the Browns this year, knowing that, week 2 is going to be the joint practices with the Vikings, would you be comfortable not playing until maybe the third preseason game or even the regular season game, or would you like to maybe get a little bit of work, early? No, you're not going to get any game reps probably that week 2 after the joint practice where you'll get so many reps, and then you have that third final preseason game. How does that kind of maybe change the way that you think about it, or the way that obviously Coach will approach it?
Yeah, I mean, it's probably a better question for Coach.
Yes.
But personally, I don't mind, getting a couple, snaps here and there. Playing a whole game would be a lot, but getting in, again, like I said, preparation, warm-ups, getting through the nitty-gritty of pregame and everything like that, just making sure you know where you're going, doing what you're supposed to be doing, and then getting into a game and going against someone else in a different jersey. It is nice. The cross practices and everything like that with or joint practices with other teams. That's it's nice to go against someone else during the week, but then throughout you're doing most of the reps. So by game time, you're like, I'm sore. I usually even in practice, we practice hard, but when you're going against someone else, it's inherently different. So yeah, no, I think that with joint practices, I'm happy we haven't had to play in those games. Of course, coach talks about if you get in a fight or something like that, but
Sure.
we try not to get in a fight with other people.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, if it happens, it happens. But
Right.
But hopefully you don't, because you don't want to play in that game. But yeah, no, you get a lot of reps during that week, and then you get ready, help the young guys. I really think that for when I was a young guy, I was thankful that they kind of had a fourth preseason game. I mean, I got traded my second year before that fourth preseason game, but where we really focused on the young guys getting reps, getting film out, because if you don't make the 53 in one team, hopefully.
Sure.
You can make it to another team and sign with another team or get traded. In my experience, but yeah, no. I mean, I think that getting young guys reps is important.
Yeah, it all certainly is. Talking to 3-time Pro Bowler Wyatt Teller joining
There it
us
is.
here. Yeah,
There it is.
we'll get it. We're going to get it. It's
Yeah.
minimum. We got to get these things right. Wyatt, I'm curious. You guys spent all that time down at the Greenbrier, and it's the second year in a row that you guys have done it, and we know there's incredible team building that's done there and so forth and so on. But how good was it to get home? And then how good was it to see these fans out here? Because I'm guessing that provides a little bit of juice too.
Yeah, no, I mean, I love heading down to the mountains. It's probably about an hour and a half from Roanoke, where we're going to live. Probably definitely going to put roots down and have a house and everything like that. So it is nice to get back there. It's still West Virginia, not Southwest Virginia, but whatever. It's still a beautiful place, and the people down there are just they're like family. Everybody's so kind and so polite, and they just enjoy our presence. And I think that we got like this little pamphlet whenever we got there, and like you guys being here the past couple of years, there's Browns fans in West Virginia, and I know that it's not that crazy because there's no team in West Virginia, but being I guess people in West Virginia they can kind of pick what team they want to be a part of, but we do have fans in West Virginia,
Sure.
So it's awesome, but. Most of the practices, they're nitty gritty. We're practicing once a day, but still, walkthroughs and everything like that. You're tired. Sometimes you got to forget. Or you do forget to look up. I always say that when I'm golfing and I just hit a bad shot or something like that. I'm like, don't forget to look up. It's beautiful. You get to see the mountains. You get to see everything. But yeah, no, it's definitely a special place, and it was great. Being out with the team. Not having, luckily my wife came down and I got
Yeah.
to see her almost every day and got to put Brooks to sleep, but my son Brooks, but, still it was, even after that, I would only get to spend like 20 minutes, give him hugs and kisses and then send him to bed and give him his bottle and go hang out with the team and get some snack or everything like that. And, because we don't have anywhere to go or anything to do, which is what I don't really do anything anyway, but it gets people together and gets people to talk and everything. So it is special.
It is special, and I think for you, obviously, a special time of year. You mentioned that your wife Carly and Brooks were there, but also another bundle of joy on the way. How excited are you for that, growing your family, and getting to celebrate that? And it's been so Brown centric. I'm pretty sure if I have it right, you proposed in the stadium. You then announced that Brooks was coming in the stadium. I remember seeing that a couple of years ago, and so it's a special thing for you. So very happy for you.
Yeah, I know. Thank you. But it is kind of funny. As soon as Brooks started getting easy to,
Of course.
I wouldn't say easy, but
Right.
It's of course, as soon as you're like, oh, hey, Brooks can start walking, he can start, communicating a little bit, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, we're having another one. But no, I'm so excited. Every tough guy I've ever met who has a little girl, they're just absolutely wrapped around her finger, and I know I'm not going to be any different, but I'm so blessed, and we're excited to bring her into the world.
Daddy's little girl. I will tell you this though. I'm going to shoot you straight. I don't know if people will shoot you straight. 2 is way more than double 1. Even though it just seems like it should just be, it is way more than double 1, but you guys certainly will be ready for that. Wyatt, talking about, iron sharpening iron. That's a theme we get. The Browns defensive line's as good as it gets in the National Football League. Some new faces on the interior that you've had to tangle with. A veteran, Quentin Jefferson, who knows how to get to the quarterback, and then Mike Hall, who, Zadarius Smith certainly had high praise for his athleticism and physicality. What have you kind of seen from some of those new faces along the Browns defensive line on the interior?
Yeah, no, I mean, really good. Of course, I always got my work cut out for me as soon as I'm like, I hopefully this practice, I can just get my hands right and get my feet right, and then you're going against someone who's damn good and trying to get to the quarterback every play. So it's always work. It's always getting a fit and everything like that. They're giving us fits is what I mean, but it's they're a special team. I mean they're led great. They have a great coach. I always say that cliche. Some of the best people you go against in the season are the guys you go against every single day in practice. 'Cause they know the snap count. They know your plays. They know our calls. We say, we're going this way. Oh, and they start widening out. You're like, come on, what are you doing? How do you know what's going on? But, going against the defense is never, I'd say, fun. But, going against any defense isn't a lot of fun. But, yeah, no, Mike Hall's he's a dog. He's a great player. Mo's a
course.
Great player. We're going against a lot of guys who are talented and everything like that, and are working hard and but yeah, iron sharpens iron. So they're really good and they're making us better.
Wyatt, obviously a lot of nicks, a lot of guys banged up, both sides of the ball. How do you guys balance, as a guy who's been through this a lot, who's a pro, how do you balance getting ready for September and all that goes into that, but also making sure you're healthy in September, most especially healthy in November and so forth? Is that in the back of your head at all? How do you balance all of it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a firm believer, whenever you start going half speed, that's when the injuries happen. That's when people get tangled up and bad things happen. So you got to go full speed. You got to practice hard. You got to be running. You got to be doing the right stuff, because if you don't, you stand no chance. So it's work, but it also, I mean, we have an unbelievable job. So oh no, I get to go outside and play football. It sucks. It's hot. Whatever. And we're so blessed. And sometimes, like the same thing, you got to look up and just realize how blessed you are, and that we're playing a sport for a living, and paid handsomely for it. So it's amazing. But yeah, no, we practice is hard. Camp is training camp's hard. It gets chippy and everything like that. But you got to remind yourself that we're so blessed to be here and be blessed to be playing football. Especially, I always make this joke to all my friends. I'm like, I'm 29 years old, about to turn 30, and I'm still playing football. And all my friends are like, yeah, it's crazy. I've been playing for 7 years, Wyatt. And I'm like, oh yeah, I forget. But I've been extremely blessed, and it's a lot of work, but taking care of your body as you get older and everything like that. Or someone told me, you're not getting older, you're getting more experienced. Thanks.
That's right, seasoned.
That, but, maybe I'm feeling every hit that I ever threw out my body for, but no, I'm so lucky, and but yeah, like I said, you just got to go full speed. You got to get ready to go and get your body right, and that's why I think these preseason games and camp is so important.
Talking with Browns 3-time Pro Bowl guard Wyatt Teller. Wyatt, the new workout facility, then the weight room, basically, we liked what we saw at UCLA. We're going to just bring it right here to Cleveland. and some of those new rooms that they've shown us with, the 25-yard wide screens and all of that. What do you kind of make of some of the new facilities to help you, as you talked about, with that recovery, with getting your body right, with getting your mind right, and all the things that it takes to go through the rigors of a 17-game NFL season?
Yeah, I mean, I always make this joke is, you give me a squat rack and some weights. I don't care if the floor's even, whatever, as long as you're squatting heavy and lifting heavy weights. I think that it's going to better us. But no, it is beautiful. The upstairs is crazy. I think there's a golf simulator that absolutely no one's been able to use, because of course it was done right before season.
Yep.
Could have used that in April when my swing was horrible, but whatever, here we are. But maybe I'll get to use it next year. But
yeah.
No, it's amazing. I mean, it's so beautiful. Yeah, like you said, I know that there was a lot of stuff that came from UCLA, because they had an unbelievable workout performance area. Our regenerative area and everything like that is top notch. We have all the stuff we could need. The Haslam's coach, they've just taken care of us. Sometimes you forget how pampered you are when you're playing football, but we're so lucky to have everything around for us. The gym, we have a little turf area where we get to stretch and everything like that, do hurdles and stuff, and we don't have to go outside for that anymore. It's nice.
It certainly is, and it's
Yeah.
damn nice having you a part of the operation, buddy, as it has been for all these years. And we thank you so much for the time today, and have a great practice out there this afternoon.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Good talking with you guys.
That's 3-time Pro Bowler Wyatt Teller joining us.
2-time All-Pro.
2-time All. Oh, God, why don't you just tell? We could have made it all one. We should have just done that all. Should have been 3-time Pro Bowler, 2-time All Pro, and that could have went into it. All right, we've got another Pro Bowler to my right. Joe Hayden is going to continue. We still have not discussed a potential trade of a wide receiver, and we're going to get into that coming up next. Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland. Does your furry friend have what it takes to beat out the competition? Enter the Dog Dash Sweepstakes. It's presented by Milkbone. A chance to have your pup compete in the annual halftime dog races. Visit clevelandbrowns.com/milkbone to enter and check out more at Milkbone and your local grocer pet supplies store as well. Somehow, we've had a lot going on. We had Joe in here early, which is great to have the great 3-time Pro Bowler, Joe Hayden, in here with us. And then we had Wyatt live. And so there's a lot going on. We have yet to discuss what has been the overwhelming story in the National Football League of the last 24 hours, and that is the potential trade of Brandon Aiyuk, and that the Cleveland Browns are reportedly among 2 teams in the mix for Brandon Aiyuk. Now, this report came out last night from NBC Bay Area. I'm sure Pedro was boots on the ground with all of it.
Over it. He's been all over it. All over.
There was also talk that Pittsburgh and the Commanders were in on this, and then they are now apparently reportedly out of the bidding.
We'll see.
Schefter has some reporting on this as well. Let's just talk big picture.
I don't know how much the Patriots are still necessarily in the picture.
Folks, there's time,
Here's what I would say. Okay,
Dr. Z,
all right.
you have the floor.
All right. So just who is Brandon Aiyuk? Aiyuk, 6 foot, 200 pounds, first round pick of the Niners in the 2020 NFL draft out of Arizona State. He is 26 years old, so he is younger, coming off of his 4th season last year, was 2nd team All-Pro, career high 1,342 yards, 7 touchdowns, averaged 17.9 yards a catch. He averaged 12.8 yards a target, which I've done this for a very long time, and this was one of the stats I used to use back in fantasy football days, so we're going back to the mid-2000s. I could probably count on one hand the number of times a guy who had over 100 targets in a season averaged over 12 yards a target for a season. Like Tyreek does that.
Yeah.
That is a rare bird. That means, so when you say yards per target, that means they averaged gaining 12.8 yards every time they threw a pass to Brandon Aiyuk. Yeah. Period.
Yeah.
That is outrageous. Caught 71% of his targets, and obviously had a monster season. He was Pro Football Focus's number 2 graded wide receiver in the league last year, behind only Tyreek Hill. He's a star and wants to be paid as a star. And right now, with the Niners, Trent Williams is holding out. They had to pay Bosa. They have to pay Christian McCaffrey. They have to pay Debo. They have to pay Kittle. They're going to have to pay Purdy. They are in a tough situation there, and so they have not yet been able to work anything out with him. What I know about this organization, what I know about Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski and Paul DePodesta and the Haslams, is that any opportunity that presents itself to improve the roster, they are certainly going to look at, and they have been very smart with how they space salary cap things out. We talked about the restructure of Amari Cooper. One of the things Andrew Berry said when we talked to him at the Greenbrier was that freed up, I think, roughly around $14 million in cap space this year. Likely that would be rolled over, but if an opportunity, again, presented itself that they wanted to jump on, they could. So I think it makes tons of sense that this team would be looking at that. I think that they love Amari Cooper. I think there are ways in which, if this were ultimately to happen, that you could have Aiyuk, Amari Cooper, and Jerry Jeudy. That is all feasible. So what will happen? I have no idea. I think that a lot of this depends on, the player. I think a lot of it has to do with, obviously, money's going to be a big part of it. If the Niners and the Browns can make an agreement, I think that there's reports out there that it's already been predetermined, and I don't know that that's true. That they've already agreed on terms. I don't believe that to be true. Aiyuk, just kind of background for him, born in Reno, Nevada. Played at Arizona State, played for the Niners. So
West Coast.
He has not been.
That's a lot of West Coast.
He's not been in the Midwest, which really should be called the Mideast, because
true.
It is nowhere near the West Coast, nowhere near Nevada. So there are, I think, a lot of factors in there. I think that what you have here in an ownership group and in a general manager and a front office and a head coach is a desire to continue to get better. And I think that people who are looking at this and when they heard the rumors, their immediate thought was, why would you do that? It's just about this year. You can't look future. First of all, GMs have to look at everything. But I think there is an outcome in here that satisfies, oh, my God, we become like a fantasy team for this year, and also sets you up for the future where you would have a situation where you have Aiyuk and Jerry Jeudy under contract in their mid-20s for the next 3 years at least, right?
It's 2 parallel lines.
Correct.
You're doing on one, you're looking at this year.
Yep.
What can we do for this year to make sure we're a Super Bowl contender this year? It's a stated goal. That's the whole operation, right? But at the same time, on a similar parallel line, we want to make sure that we're never in jail. I mean, look at the organization you played for after playing for us in Pittsburgh. Yep. Always in the mix. Always able to be malleable, always able to be nimble if something presents itself. That's what this operation has been. It is pretty stupefying to wrap your head around if somehow this is able to be pulled off and you're able to keep Amari and Aiyuk and Chief and
Jeudy
and
Tillman. I don't know.
It's a lot going on.
I mean, somebody would have to not.
Someone's got to go that way,
point,
but
right.
I mean, Joe, that's
an all-star. That's an all-star roster.
Yeah,
that's your name. He's like very, very Pro Bowl caliber players. At 4 of them at receiver.
All right, let me ask you this: because and I think this is true today, by the way. No trade happening.
Yeah.
And this is based getting into advanced stats. But Amari's one of the best players in the league against man coverage. Judy's one of the best players in the league against man coverage in terms of creating separation. So is Elijah. Elijah's like top 6. So we have like 3 of the top 6 in the league against man coverage. That makes it difficult for a defensive coordinator to say, we're going to play man, right? And then all of a sudden, for an offense, if we know that there isn't a ton of man out there, there are zone beaters. Every zone
for sure
has a beater.
Yes.
So you're in a position where you can almost dictate what kind of coverages defenses have to play. And look, the fact of the matter is if this Cleveland Browns football team can throw the ball successfully against too high, there will be no answer for what we are as an offense, because we'll beat you in man, and if we can throw it against you in too high, we're going to be able to run it against you in too high because they're going to be 6-man boxes, which Nick Chubb has never seen in his career. So I kind of, in some ways, think we're there, but then if all of a sudden it's Aiyuk, Judy, Cooper, Chief.
I'd say this: the Browns have been doing one thing, and that's just bringing in talent and evaluating talent and trying to, just no matter what, making this team better at every opportunity that they can. So just the people, just the roster, when you look at it, roster for everybody, they're ballers on the team. So just being able to walk into a stadium, going against anybody, knowing like it's not a talent thing. We should be able to beat you. All we have to do is execute, and now you can run. The defense has always been special. And now this having a legitimate running game, and then you bring these wide receiver options that we had Josh Gordon. That was the best receiver that I've seen when I was out here. But now you have 3 dudes that are legitimate, like could be ones on the team. So how you can't guard that.
There's for the Browns fans out there driving around, and I'm sure you were texted this a billion times. I was texted a billion. You probably 1.5 billion. In terms of what are you hearing?
Yeah.
This is what this is kind of my standard answer to it. I don't know if this can happen. You don't know if it's going to happen.
No.
They don't know if it's going to happen. Brandon Aiyuk might be the only one who knows if it can happen. Who knows? And his representatives. It might be that simple where it's them trying to sort through this. But this is what you should be rest assured of. Your ownership and front office relentlessly tries to improve the Cleveland Browns.
Yes. That's
full stop.
Yes.
They will no stone will be unturned.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Does this make us better now? Yeah. Does it make us better 3 years from now?
Yes.
Anything that starts with, does this make us better, they will investigate.
They'll look into.
They will never say, oh, we're not, I don't know, the price, I don't know about that.
There's always a
never.
conversation to be had.
Always.
Always.
They're always open to a conversation. They're always snooping around. They're always looking for deals. Look what they did. We're talking about Coop. That's robbery.
Yeah.
What we got, Coop. The Cowboys were in a pickle. Well, we can get you out of I like pickles.
We love pickles.
He loved
I
it.
love
Give me a couple pickles. We can. I'll take a
kosher
couple
dill.
of pickles. Who gets hurt? Nice crackle to it. Who gets hurt? So that's the thing. Whether this happens or not, and we don't know what this machinations could be or what it could look like or who's going there. Obviously, you have to give up something to get somebody of that caliber. You're gonna have to pay him. It's funny, people. How many people you get this are like worried? Well, can we afford him? It's not your money.
Yes.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Yes,
Have
you
seen
can
his
afford
facility?
him.
Have you seen his facility?
Yeah,
Don't ask the Haslam's, can they afford
The
it?
the ownership here, like and Paul DePodesta, those guys, Coop, those guys, like they're
Dialed.
They're locked in,
Yes.
dude.
They have this all. They map out season 3, 5 years, and they're constantly planning, and there's always the ability to restructure. And when you do that and you have an ownership that's willing to pay the cash that it costs to restructure, you can do these things, and you have an advantage over the salary cap. The Browns have been towards the top of the league in cash spending, but have been able to push salary cap implications down the line because you have an ownership that'll do that. Amari Cooper was acquired in a trade in 2020 that sent a 2022 fifth-rounder to the Dallas Cowboys and swapped 2022 sixth-round picks. Full stop. Amari Cooper. Jerry Jeudy was just acquired in a trade from the Denver Broncos, where the Browns sent a 2024 fifth-round pick and a 2024 sixth-round pick for Jerry Jeudy.
Robbery.
On both counts.
No
And by
mask.
the way,
No mask.
I got to talk to Jerry today. We saw him out here. You saw him on Monday.
Yes.
On that option route, takes a slant, gone, down the sideline, gone. May have been a push-off, maybe not. No officials out here at the time. Yeah. Only a DB would say that. An offensive guy would be like, yeah, no. But, yeah, he looks fantastic. This would not be that. I would imagine the compensation would be more significant than if we're talking fifths, 5s, and 6s.
Yeah.
But it certainly is something that's very feasible. And if you're thinking about it from the Niners standpoint, right, if you cannot get a deal with him and he walks, the very best you can do is get a pick after pick 97 would be the best you get is in terms of a compensatory pick.
Okay. Yeah.
That's the best that it could be. So anything above that is obviously better than it would be had he just left. So there is room in there. Somebody asked me today, you think they'd give up a 1 for him? There's zero,
No.
there is no world that exists in which Andrew Bear would give up a first-round pick to trade away and then pay a guy immediately. First-round picks, we talked about it. They are going to be, for the next however many years, wide receivers, cornerbacks, pass rushers, whether it's interior or exterior, and maybe a pass-catching tight end. So you could we'll call them pass rushers, pass catchers.
Weapons. Pass-catching weapons.
Corners, left tackle or right tackle, and quarterbacks. And hopefully we don't need a quarterback for a very long time. But those are the positions that when you draft them in the first round, you're getting a supreme talent, and it's immediately getting you a salary cap savings relative to their talent at the position that they play.
Exactly.
That's why, and I'll say it again, and we joke about the Falcons all the time, but when the Falcons take Bijan Robinson 8th overall, even if he is great, you're already paying him like a top 5 running back. So even if he is a top 5 running back, he's already being paid like that. You don't have a single year of a salary benefit with Bijan Robinson. Now then when you draft a backup quarterback who's 26 at 8 overall, when you just paid Kirk Cousins $100 million guaranteed, that also doesn't give you much of a benefit at the beginning of his career. But that's neither here nor there.
So that's where you stand. That's where it stands with Aiyuk right now.
Look, they will do everything they can to improve their team. Now, what I would say to you is there aren't going to be left tackles that would do that for your team available. It's just not going to happen unless you get a contractual crazy situation, but I don't think there's any way the Niners are letting Trent Williams go.
No.
There are not going to be pass rushers at this point of the season where that is possible. So really the only kind of dynamic position, there aren't going to be corners. Nobody's giving away their corners right now for nothing. Wide receiver where you have an issue coming up. And now if you're the Browns, you can go in Aiyuk, or you can say, we're good. If it doesn't work out, we're good where we're at. We're in a great position, and we are in a position where next year we will have the money to go after an Aiyuk, a T. Higgins, if we want to bring in a receiver of that caliber. So from the Browns standpoint, you're in a great and a first-round pick to draft a receiver at a salary cap benefit.
There you go.
So, yes, you have an operation here, and I said this, I don't know, did you watch any did you watch the offseason Hard Knocks with the Giants?
No.
Okay. It's very interesting.
It
if
is.
you're ever
it is. Okay.
Just a window into how certain front offices go about their business. Versus, and it's not how we do.
It's like a warm blanket for Browns.
It really
fans
is.
because you're like, we at least have a significant competitive advantage over one team, and it's probably more likely that it's a lot more than one team. You know what I mean in terms of how we operate our business. And so that's where you're at. That's where things stand right now. I think it's probably very fluid. I wouldn't say that anything is imminent, and with it, yes, no, not, maybe, whatever. And we'll just kind of see how it plays out. My guess is if you were going to do something like this, you want it done as soon as possible because you need him to come in and get into your system. He's going to be, and you know what it's like to go against the Kyle system, but he's going to be in a Shanahan system. That's what he's been in the last few years. The difference in that system and our system now is significant. Not because we don't still have some of those keepers and all of that, but Joe would remember from his time here is Kyle Shanahan systems are orchestrated down to the toe. The route has to, this is what the route is. This is where you need to be on this angle with this foot at this exact moment because everything is 100% predicated on the choreography of what he is doing. Whereas this offense now, there are option routes all over the place. And so it's going to be about, number one, how that freedom would affect a guy like Brandon Aiyuk and somebody he's probably not as used to. And then two, the key to those is seeing through the same eyes for the quarterback and the receiver so that when defenses go certain ways, you're both saying, that changes it to this at the same time. And that all has to happen under 2 seconds. So you need those reps together because it is different. As a corner, when you were going against a system where you knew the receivers didn't have the flexibility versus one where you knew they were running option routes, which were going to be dictated based on your leverage and everything. What's tougher to defend or what's maybe what What's more common even?
Tougher is the freestyle because most coaches, they want things ran a certain way. When you give the receivers that freedom, sometimes they might not be on the spot. The quarterback could be looking where they need to be somewhere exactly. I like when I play the on time, when you have to be on that spot, because the film study that I study, their routes are kind of the same. There's going to be 3 steps on that third step. They're running the slant, so it's no real question. So you see their line.
The splits.
1 yard outside the numbers. They're 1 yard outside the numbers every time. You can just keep running plays to see the alignment is going to be exactly where it has to be. There's no I'm gonna lane out a little bit more because he'll know that I'm normally doing that.
So how crazy good is Kyle that, given that all of that is true, that dudes are still completely wide open all the time?
Because he has it if you're in the right position, someone else isn't. Do you know what I'm saying? So, I mean, they like what you said, with timing, with foot placement, with everybody being going through the same things at the same time, that's the only way it works. So I think for him, his offense is amazing, but you have to be on it. You have to know exactly where to be on the exact same page.
Yeah. Well, Amari talks about time with his, you know, let's say he was going to go against you and you guys had battles. I remember, I'm pretty sure it was his first game of his career was at Cleveland Brown Stadium.
Is that when Oakland?
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. I will never forget that game. He got the best of me that game, and that's for sure.
And you've come back, but
oh, yeah.
He would watch. And he told me this. If he was playing Joe Hayden, he would watch every route that he's ever ran against you over and over leading up so that he could say, all right, well, I ran this route this way that time, and it worked. So he knows that you're watching tape too, so you're going to be looking for that. So he's going to give you something different so that he's still going to get where he wants to go, but it's going to look totally different to you. And that's the kind of detail. But he said in all systems you couldn't do that. He said especially here, Kevin's given him the flexibility to do that. And then now in this offense especially, he has the he's like, I'll get where you need me to be when you need me to be there, but just let me get there how I'm going to get there.
Yep.
Joe, before we let you go, your early impressions here. We get another public practice today at 4:50, a little after 4 o'clock. What are you looking to see this week leading into the first preseason game on Saturday?
I believe in the defense. I'm super excited about them, everything we got going. I just really look forward to our passing game. I want to be able to see if we can get the ball, some deep shots, some deep balls going through the air with Judy, Amari Cooper, just some passes. Because I know our running game is amazing, our offensive line is sick, but I just want to be able to see some explosive shot plays and just get the crowd going. Because I think everything else that we got with defense, offensive line, running backs, skill positions are amazing. But just seeing that ball go through the air and some touchdown passes.
We definitely saw it a little bit on Monday.
Yes,
or Sunday. Sunday, you saw a bunch of vertical balls. Mm-hmm. I'll tell you, yesterday when they're in pads, this D line is a problem.
We don't have both left tackles are out.
It is a problem. It's a problem across. Really, DeWand is kind of just like a black hole. He just vaporizes whoever's across from him. Yeah. But there's a lot of pressure, and they can just come in waves.
And that's no Dalvin.
No Dalvin.
And so that's.
Let me tell you something. Quentin Jefferson in this defense, if he gets the opportunities, right? So he's going to, I think it's going to be competitive. Who's going to be the sub-package interior pass rusher? Because we could go Miles, Za'Darius, Alex Wright, and Obo. We can go 4 defensive ends and put 2 of them inside. Miles can be inside, Za'Darius can be inside, Alex Wright can be inside. So we can just go complete NASCAR and go. Yeah. Or we can go 3 and 1. Who's going to be that one? Quinn Jefferson, 16 sacks the last 3 seasons, 6 last year, probably a good candidate for that. And then you got Mike Hall, which I'm pretty sure is a rookie. What he's going to do is sub-package rush the quarterback more than
he can do that.
He can do that. So I don't know if anybody's going to get the opportunity. Quinn Jefferson spoke to me today. He's like, I want to get 10 sacks this year. I don't know if any of the interior guys will get those kind of opportunities, but they will always be one-on-one. Always.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so it is possible that we set the franchise record for sacks last year. I think we're going to shatter that this year. I think we've made Za'Darius is healthy, and last year he battled through a back that nagged at him all year. You bring in a pro like Quentin Jefferson, then you bring in a young bull like Mike Hall, and all of a sudden Alex Wright's continuing to get better. He had a sack in 4 straight games to finish the season. This could be, if we can play games where we are ahead and teams in the second half have to become one-dimensional.
Yeah, that's where it gets fun.
Forget about it. Yeah, it's fun for the corners because they know the ball's got to come out.
The ball's coming out. We're getting picks.
Coming out. Yes,
for sure.
Exactly.
That's where good seed is always Joe.
Good seed, guys.
Stay in the
Training
game.
Camp Insider later today. Me and Joe.
There you go.
Get ready for it.
Looking forward to that. The Stay in the Game Attendance Network is taking over training camp today to spread awareness about the importance of good school attendance. Cleveland Browns Foundation is a proud founder of Stay in the Game and partners with school districts across Ohio to dramatically improve attendance. Visit stayinthegame.org to learn more and support strong attendance in your community. Second hour of the program coming up next. You'll listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. All right, second hour. A reminder, training camp practice set today, 4:15, I believe. 4:15-ish is the idea, and I know a great many of you are probably trying to make your way out here. We've had some crazy weather, a lot of rain through the last 24 hours or so, starts and stops that could be in play. Right now, we're full go. We just saw everybody cruising through. The great Mike Vrabel bouncing, striding.
Yep.
He's got a certain stride to him. He's bouncing through. We had Wyatt Teller on in the first hour of the program. Around the league, obviously, we are in the center of one of the big stories in the league, and that is the potential trade of Brandon Aiyuk. You saw the reporting last night from NBC out in San Francisco, and then Schefter this morning with some reporting as well. Z went through it. We went through it in the previous hour. Just to give you an idea, if you're just joining us, very much in play. The thing that Z said, and I've parroted many, many times through the years is, here's the deal. If there's an opportunity to make this team better, this front office and this ownership will do everything in its power to make the team better. But they will not do it at a cost that they don't want.
Correct.
Both financially and also within the roster. So
correct.
They will always negotiate in a position of strength in these scenarios. And so that's probably what is going on here. We don't have any reason to believe that anything's imminent. We don't have any reason to believe that anything isn't. It's very possible that this is the ball, and there's been reporting on this morning, that the ball is in Brandon Aiyuk's court and him and his representatives, and they can see if they can get a deal from there, and then something could come together very, very quickly. But we don't know where that stands today.
Correct. And that's where it is. So it's one of those things where we'll probably all find out at the same time if something were to happen. So we'll see. But this is a Browns football team that is right now, they love their top four receivers with Cooper, Judy, Moore, and Tillman. If they feel that they can improve, they're going to do it. And we'll see what that ultimately looks like. I do think I'm curious to see what, we've heard now that the Packers will be playing people. I'm very curious to hear, hopefully we'll get to hear that sooner rather than later, what that looks like for the Cleveland Browns in this preseason opener.
If you were Kevin Stefanski, what would it look like to you?
That's a tough question.
You're welcome.
A loaded question.
You're welcome.
Given that I know that I'm not playing my guys in week 2, I would want them to at least come out, and I don't even care if it's the most vanilla opening series in the history of the game, but just maybe come out so they can practice coming out of our locker room, going through a pregame, taking a series, and then being done. And I'm fine with that because otherwise you're not going to have that experience at home before the home opener.
So I was talking about this morning, and it's, when we had Joe Hayden on, even he was still in the when he played mode, which was third preseason game, dress rehearsal, fourth preseason game, gone. That's all flipped.
Yep.
Because of the 3 preseason world we're in now, and the fact that a gross many of these teams in the league do joint practices now. So the calendar for that typically sets up first preseason game, a joint practice, although the Lions and Giants are going right now and they're fighting every day. They're doing their joint practices
with
today.
Kwesi and Kevin O'Connell. I just don't see that happening with our practices.
I don't.
And those are
but that's
the Lions are biting kneecaps. That's their style.
And the Giants too,
of course.
Dable and those guys. Yeah. Come on, I mean it fits
totally.
Exactly. They drafted Neighbors because he's a dog, and I think Malik Neighbors is going to be very, very good. But that's why they fell in love with him.
Very good.
So the new way to look at this, if you don't play in the Hall of Fame game, is first preseason game you get a little run. Second, then you have those joints. Then you give up a rest, and then the third you give up some run.
Yeah, you're exactly right about that. All right, good.
Something wrong.
No, get some water in there. Get some water in there. Get it. Yeah, but I think even if you think about last year, starters didn't play in the Hall of Fame game. They did play a little bit against Washington. Then they did not play with the joint practices in Philly, and then they did play against Kansas City. So if you follow last year's model, it would stand to reason that the starters would play a little bit in this game. Then they would play not at all in game number 2 against Minnesota, and then they would play a little bit more against the Seattle Seahawks in week 3. Although I wonder how that trip and if any of that affects it. But I believe Gibbe said we're going out there 2 days early, so they'll be very acclimated for the game. It's just coming home is going to be dreadful, but you got a bunch of time to recover.
Rest on the back end of it is there, but I do wonder if that 10 Eastern kick, if that changes, kind of the way that you would normally view that one. So that's something worth monitoring. This is such an abnormal preseason for us with that last game all the way out west on a Sunday night late. So, I mean, that's not something you normally see. Around the league, there's quite a bit of news elsewhere. I mentioned the joint practices with the Lions and the Giants and the fight that broke out there. Yesterday there were fights as well. But honestly, knowing the front office of the Lions in terms of we know Dorse very well, and we know
Campbell.
I know Chris Spielman very well.
Yeah.
Dan Campbell we know from Hard Knocks. Like, even what we're seeing from Deuce,
Yeah.
like that's just their deal.
Yes.
And then mix that with Dable. My guess is they love this as long as nobody gets hurt.
Correct. I'm sure that they do love it. It's a league of physicality.
Yeah.
It is a league where you've got to compete and in some cases impose your will. I mean, I think for the Browns, I go back to, the game against Baltimore. Not only did you have Deshaun Watson performing at the level that he did, 14 for 14 in the second half, but you also had, in that game, Dave Njoku win the Angry Runs Award for carrying Geno Stone like a backpack 15 yards. And then you also had the rugby scrum where we pushed their entire defense, 20 yards down the field. So that was imposing your will. That was the physicality. That's what it's all about. And so, yeah, you could see that. By the way, speaking of some of the guys who impose their will, Ethan Posick and our guy, Big Thanos, DeJuan Jones, both the birthdays today. Happy birthday to those guys. I love DeJuan. Well, how about it?
DeJuan was
I love DeJuan.
he's easy to fall in love with.
Totally.
And what I think is so cool about him is how he took to it. And I think the fact that he was drafted here and at the time drafted to play for Bill Callahan taught him how to be a pro. And he could look over and he could see Wyatt and Joel and he could go, oh, this is what a pro does. And sometimes that's all it takes because the piece of clay with him was always there. I mean, he was dominant at Ohio State at times. It was just, where's the lock-in? And now he's got it. And it's what he was doing when he's pointing at guys and, come on, he's ready.
Bring it on. He's so ready. He has a chance to be one of, I don't want to go to hyperbole and say he has a chance to be one of the most dominant pass blocking tackles in the NFL this year. Like, I think if he plays 17 games, he will be a Pro Bowler and will be in the running to be an All-Pro.
Think of the theft.
And he was a fourth
round pick.
MJ was a third round. I mean, when you did not have a first round pick, you were able to get first round talent in MJ Emerson and also in DeJuan Jones. That's incredible. Now, this year remains to be seen if you're able to do that as well, but you've gotten two of them.
Yep.
Without a first rounder, which is incredible.
Yeah, and just dudes.
And
like,
JOK is a first rounder that you got in the second round.
They're Pro Bowl guys.
Yes.
And you're able to land them. So that's a very good job at AB.
Here's the thing that I don't understand. And one of the lists we were going through, and I don't know, maybe it's in the rundown today, but I handed mine over there to Joe Hayden, so I'm flying blind. We never did those cornerback rankings.
We're going to do it. We're going to do it coming up here in a second, right if we get through some of the headlines.
Well, it's just there's an absurdity. The exclusion of MJ Emerson from that is, to me, it's rotten.
Hard Knocks training camp with the Bears premieres tonight at 9 o'clock on HBO. Go ahead.
It's too much. There's too much to watch. There's too much going on. By the way, I found the Olympics. I'm loving the Olympics. I haven't had this much fun with the Olympics in a long time. I'm loving.
That's interesting. I have too. We're watching as a family.
Same.
Which is really cool.
Yeah.
Somehow I'm keeping away from most of the spoilers.
Me too.
There's
I don't
something that
check in
happens.
during the day. I hate when I get an alert where it's just
Yeah.
like they tell. No, don't tell me. I don't want to know.
Do you think you'll have the same enthusiasm for it now that the swimming and gymnastics is over? Because those were kind of the ones that have carried.
I
them
enjoy watching
for
some of the
10 days.
track.
Yeah, the sprinting's fun.
I became a huge fan of the Turkish pistola guy.
Yeah.
I mean, you got people in 800 contraptions out there, with goggles upon goggles and glasses with 38 monocles, and they're just like very precise. And he's just like pulls up with nothing. It's like, boom, silver.
Next.
Like that guy's got to be a hitman or something. I mean, he's too good.
Yeah,
but that guy, I love that guy. No, obviously, I love the swimming and the diving. Gymnastics is very fun to watch. Man, the balance beam was just brutal for them last night. I mean, nobody could stay on that beam. It was.
I think they were kind of just house money.
I
Both
think
of
so
them.
too. But like when Simone was on there, if she just put in a decent routine, she was going to win gold probably.
Yeah.
I mean, cool though for the Italian, the young Italian lady.
Share it a little.
the first gold medal in gymnastics for the country of Italy ever. Like, that's cool.
That's very cool. Yeah, and I thought what they did with the Brazilian girl who won the floor
Yeah,
was
she's
really
so
cool.
good. And she's like Simone's kind of like protege, basically.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think it's been very, very enjoyable.
But now we're getting into the medal rounds and, hoops and
I paid attention to none of that to this point. Maybe I'll watch if it gets down to it.
there's
Soccer,
nothing.
Bo?
There's nothing
Have you been
good
paying
that could
attention
come
to
out of
women?
it.
I haven't. I haven't been paying attention to the soccer at all. And it's funny because I pay attention to the World Cup, obviously a great deal, and I'll watch some European stuff on the men's side of things, but I love the Continental Championships, but the gold medal stuff, it just hasn't done it for me. And I know they're playing now, aren't they?
Yes, they
Okay,
are. And
yeah.
I will not. If you want a spoiler, I can give it to you. If not, I won't.
If we don't win the gold in the two basketballs, like, what are we doing? And can I ask, how is our 3-on-3 team not like Jaylen Brown?
So
like the next three guys.
NBA guys can't play in it because you have to hit all of these qualifications that happen over the course of the year. So you have to qualify one step after another. It's not like you just put the three best
What about the
players
dudes
together.
from the Big Three?
Well, that was Ice Cube's thing, but apparently even those guys. So, like, Jimmer Fredette was on our team.
Yeah.
But, like, we couldn't have, like, our dudes.
That doesn't make
Here's
sense.
the thing that I think's stupid. They're both basketball. They're both basketball. The rules should be the same.
Totally.
So, if NBA guys
What do
can
we
be-
need a 3-on-3 Olympic event for?
We don't. It's just basketball.
Yeah, we're playing
This is not a
basketball.
different sport. It's just basketball.
Well, I guess they would say it's like instead of rugby, there's full rugby, and then there's rugby sevens.
Do you know my hot take? It's my hot. And as a swimmer, you're gonna not like this. What are we doing with this butterfly?
What do you mean?
What are we doing with this thing?
It's a great stroke.
It's not a great stroke.
It's the hardest stroke to do.
That's exactly it. The rest
I
of
always
them,
sucked at it.
of course we all. Maybe Z was great. Everybody sucked at it.
I never did butterfly individually as its own event, but I did the individual medley, so I was a good enough butterfly. But
So
my
when people,
backstroke
all the
and
rest
freestyle
of the
med does.
strokes, I'm like, okay, that's practical. It makes sense. If you're in a situation where you're trying to stay alive, which I'm guessing is how swimming started, let's stay alive, right? Backstroke, breaststroke, freestyle.
What sense does
all
breaststroke make?
Well, you could stay afloat. It's kind of like you're treading water on the breaststroke. The way now they accentuate it because they go way up and way down, but like just the motion of it is kind of treading water. It's just accentuated. No one is going to butterfly ever by choice. In the history of your life, have you ever seen anybody who's not training for something go do that?
No, but I've never seen. I mean, people just no.
Yeah. So that's my.
But it's the most dolphin-like stroke, and dolphins are
But
tremendous
we continue
swimmers.
to not be dolphins.
Well, they're mammals.
They are mammals.
And they've allowed too much dolphin kick in other strokes that wasn't supposed to be. My dad was my swim coach, and he
Okay.
forced me to do butterfly. I never did it willingly. My best stroke was the breaststroke. Butterfly, he learned his lesson very early. Don't put my son in those events.
Well, they used to not let you dolphin kick under the water in basically anything. I mean, you could backstroke. That was always part of the start, was kind of on your back, the dolphin kick. Freestyle, you could, but you're supposed to dolphin kick back up to the surface. Like the original thinking was you're supposed to go as shallow on your dive as you could.
And now they go
deep and they get out there. And they've limited the backstroke. You can't be underwater past 15 meters. But like breaststroke, I don't remember there being dolphin kicked. You used to have to kind of dive in and just glide, and then you got to do one pull down, and then you'd come up. But you couldn't
And now they
dolphin.
have a dolphin kick, pull out, and then they come up to the surface. Plus, in the individual medley, you weren't allowed to do any sort of flip turn, and now it's like a modified flip turn that they allow everybody to do. So it's all different. That's what gets me. But if you're enjoying the event enough, it's those things.
I love it.
really
I love all of it. I was arguing with my wife, and I'm just like, this thing is nonsense. This butterfly thing. One other thing I want to run by you.
When you see a guy, though, like Leon
I'm not saying it's not impressive.
It's awesome.
It's really impressive. It just seems nonsensical to me.
Okay.
All right, here it is. You ready for this?
I don't know.
Is there – well, this you're going to like more than that.
Okay.
Is there a cooler title that you get from winning anything than winning the 100 meters fastest man alive?
No.
It's the coolest.
So it is the coolest
It's undisputable.
nickname. Right.
There's no arguing it.
Well, that's what I like about it. I
We're
have a
racing. There's nothing subjective.
that's why it's hard with the judging events.
Me too. I hate that.
I hate that. Like that's what I like about swimming. Did you touch the wall first? You did? Cool. You win.
You win.
Did you get to the finish line first? Cool. you win. That's
Yes.
It's obvious that you
Yes.
outscore the team in basketball. Now they get officials in there, and of course there can be shenanigans that way. But I like the pure sports and what's fun about those is typically you kind of know who's going to win even before they do it because you just know what your time is. Like you're faster than
Yes.
the other people.
Yes. Fastest man alive is pretty cool.
It is great. And I thought it was cool. The fastest woman alive, I want to say, was from St. Lucia.
St. Lucia.
And won their first ever medal, the country's first ever medal is gold. Like that's cool. Here's the thing I have for the opening ceremonies.
I have my pen. Yep.
When a country comes up,
Yeah.
I need to know their country's complete medal history. Like I want to see the countries that have never won a medal or they've only won one, and then if they've never won one, they'd say like this year. They think they got a shot in the
watch out
for her in the 100 meters could win the first medal.
Yeah, I
because
like
that's fun to root for a country to get their first medal.
Yeah. It came at the expense of our girl.
Well, she got
Shakira
second.
Richardson. She ended up second in that. But yeah, and so we have 200 tonight,
200 tonight, and the St. Lucia girl's looking for the double.
and so is Noah Lyles.
But we've
got dudes though.
got dudes. But did you see our top qualifier in the 200? Looks to me like she's going to win. She smoked everybody.
Yes,
and
she
she
did.
wasn't even.
No, just
She
cruising.
didn't even break a sweat. She wasn't. Everybody's all, and she's like, "What's up?"
I said to the boys, we were watching the 100-meter qualifying, 200-meter qualifying last night, and I go, did you notice like when they're done, they're not even breathing hard? And so 12-year-old NBC goes, well, Dad, I could probably do that if I trained for 4 years. I said, no, you couldn't, and you didn't train for 10 years. You're sitting here on your phone on Snapchat and playing college football on the Xbox.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
Yeah.
You didn't do all of that, and they did.
Correct. One huge miss. When I was a kid, one of my favorite video games ever was the Barcelona Olympics. It was on Sega. It was
wow.
an epic game.
I remember
it had
track and
diving,
field on
it
the
had track and
Nintendo, but
field,
I don't
it
remember
had
that.
all of it. It was one of the best video games I've ever had. And then they made a winter games. I think they had Lillehammer that was awesome, and you could do the biathlon where
Yeah.
you'd ski and then you'd come and you'd
Yeah,
shoot.
yeah,
And, bobsled. They had it all.
Yeah.
I looked. I was like, I want an Olympic game. I'd play some Olympic games right now. Nothing. Bubkiss. That's a big miss to me.
That's a very big miss.
Huge
and
miss.
And usually the Olympics do not miss when there's an opportunity to make money.
Yeah. So no Olympic game out there. That's a big miss. College football, I'm enjoying it. I won a title. I found that All-American is too easy. I can score whenever I want. And then Heisman is too hard. Like you can lose to an FCS team. They haven't got a proper difficulty setting to play the computer yet. I did take young Jordan to the woodshed. I took Fila to the woodshed. So with the Arizona Wildcats against the Buckeyes, by the way.
Really?
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, you're a superior gamer then.
Well, and Arizona's got that. Their number one receiver is going to be a star.
Let's relax. I mean, if you should take the Buckeyes to the woodshed never, unless your skill is so superior to their skill. If you guys are similar,
what were Jordan? I was Texas LSU. Yeah, Texas.
Well, that's an even.
Yeah,
that's fair.
Well, it wasn't. He's on the scoreboard, my friend.
Who were you?
Texas. Quinn Ewers was out there throwing down. It was 28.
Texas is better than LSU.
It was 28-7 at
but
the half.
it should be that's a 28-7 at the half.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're a superior
this conversation just happened. Brock goes, "What do you know about college football?" And he goes, "I know I got whooped by Nate."
That's right. Fila pretended to take a call from his girlfriend to get out of the game.
Oh, he was done.
Yeah. Arizona I was screaming bear down and yelling about Zago and running through the living room.
He would occasionally run through the Olympic watch area and run back into his bedroom to continue the beatdown.
Yeah. I told him, I was like, don't press my dude on the outside.
I think it's more fun than Madden because of the variety of game and because I think they have the algorithm on catching and is much better than Madden. The only problem with the game when you're in the dynasty mode, like the boys are in this, we're in some dynasty modes. I'm doing something with Ohio State, and like they have like NC State and these other teams like in the playoff. So what they haven't figured out is quality losses.
Yeah.
So like they only have 2 SEC teams in a 12-team playoff. Well, there's going to
mine
be 4.
was loaded. Yeah, mine was.
There's going to be
loaded.
4 of them in there, and they had like NC State undefeated, Kansas undefeated. It's like no, that's not the way that's going.
I had a murderer's row. I had to go through
Arizona.
I was Arizona, and I had to go through the Buckeyes.
Oh, in the playoff.
In the playoff,
Yeah.
I beat the Buckeyes, Georgia, Oregon, back to back to back.
You played Oregon in the chipper.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's robust.
No, it was
So
robust.
you won the
It
Big
was-
12, and then you got the bye.
Yeah.
And then you played Buckeyes in the quarters, Georgia in the semi, and then
And I was pissed
Oregon.
though, like I couldn't even recruit because it was Arizona. I'm like, dude, we just won the national championship. I was able to get like a couple of 5 stars and a couple of 4 stars, and then everybody else was like 3 or. I'm like, we just won the national championship.
Dude, I was doing this and then I just quit on the recruiting. So I'm not going to do another season. I'm like, NBC,
And
was
it's
sitting there, he's
annoying.
like, NBC's like, give it to me, and I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, you're not recruiting anybody. You got to do this, this, and this. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing.
You got to DM their
and
friends.
then I'm DNing
like,
these idiots, and I'm losing them to Penn State and West Virginia.
Yeah,
I'm like,
what's going on?
This is not right. I'm the Buckeyes. If I offer you, and you're an Ohioan, and you're a 5-star receiver, you're coming here.
Well,
Come
You're coming to. You might be coming to my version of the Arizona Wildcats, where I think my star receiver had like 4,000 yards and 60 touchdowns. He went number 1 in the draft, by the way. And my quarterback, who was a redshirt sophomore, left me, and he went like number 2 in the draft.
Oh, he went pro.
They both went pro.
Wow.
They were two
There you go.
elite.
Yeah, it's a fun game.
It
Very,
is
very
fun.
game.
They and Joe Hayden and I talked about this earlier. The biggest miss of this entire game, like we fired up 2K. Who did I can't remember who I beat. Oh, Connor. Beat Connor in 2K.
Yeah.
But in 2K, you can just go into the play now mode, and I was all-time Warriors,
Yeah.
and he was all-time doesn't matter. I don't remember who he was. Beat him thoroughly. But
So your beef is in the college football game. You can't
we
play
need
all-time
that.
Gators.
Yes, I want Joe Hayden. I want Tim.
Here's why, though. They don't want to pay all them.
They're already into EA. From now on, the license to be in the NFL game should cover the college game too.
For those guys, but there's a lapse from 2014 to now. All those college guys aren't.
No, right, but they should be able to. But
You could
although
go
if they're good, they're in the NFL. If they were college
You could
legends,
do that.
they made the NFL at some point.
You could do that. If you had guys who are already licensed in Madden,
Yeah.
Then you
because
could do
in Madden,
Then you could do it,
In
yeah.
Madden, they had a mode 2 years ago where you could play, and there were only 8 teams. I think there was like Ohio State, LSU, the U.
I remember that.
Where it was, and that's what it was. It was like the best guys. Like
Yeah.
you could go out there with Deshaun and Sammy Watkins from college and Mike Williams and was it Martavis Bryant? Was he a Clemson guy?
yeah, he was.
Yeah, you had all these like dudes just running around. They probably had somebody else that's better than that.
Well, I think Taj would have been the quarterback. Which Taj Boyd have been the quarterback for Martavius and Sammy.
He might have been the quarterback. I love Taj Boyd.
Yeah, I think.
I was so shocked that he never was a pro. That was before I really knew what was going on.
Yeah, they landed like 5 straight 5-star quarterbacks at Clemson, starting with him.
He also had one of the all-time Sports Center interviews.
He did. Yes,
Maybe ever.
maybe ever.
Good
Trinity,
study group. Good study group. Taj Boyd.
very good. Yes, he did. We'll do that quarterback rankings, PFF versus ESPN. That's coming up next. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Ballybet, sports betting partner of Cleveland Browns, now live in Ohio on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Part of one of the most passionate fan base in the NFL. Join the Next Gen STM presented by Ticketmaster. Official waitlist of your Cleveland Browns. Being a Next Gen STM, the best chance to become a season ticket member in future seasons. Visit clevelandbrowns.com/NextGenSTM to reserve your spot today. PFF versus ESPN, the corners. And you have beef, sir.
Well, I do have beef, yeah, because MJ Emerson I don't think is on either list, which I find to be repugnant, abhorrent, ridiculous. If you said to me,
You have the master. Do you have the master?
the master list,
The master list.
I don't have the list.
I don't have the list.
If you said to me, here's a
have
guy
the
who
list.
You
had,
have the list.
here's a guy who had 4 picks last year.
Yep.
14 passes defensed, led the team in interception, tied for the team lead in pass defense on the number 1 defense in the NFL. That since entering the league, he's got 29 passes defensed, 5th most in the NFL. But how about these things? Now, you tell me, does this sound like a Pro Bowl corner to you? Completion percentage allowed in coverage, 47.1, second best in the NFL. Rating allowed in coverage, 45.3, second best in the NFL. Touchdowns allowed in coverage last year, 0, best in the NFL. 19% forced incompletions, 6th best in the NFL. 15.4 cover snaps per reception, 9th best in the NFL. And by the way,
This is all according to PFF?
yeah, and all these are the advanced stats, yeah.
Yeah.
PFF stats. Everybody who was 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 in any of these, all were Pro Bowlers, and most the other ones in terms of where he was number 2 in completion percentage, rating, and touchdowns, which seems to be a pretty big deal, and forcing completions, everybody around him were all pros.
I can tell you on the PFF list, Martin Emerson Jr. just missed the list. He
Don't
wasn't
care.
ranked as one of the top 32.
That's right. That's what. Yes.
So
on,
just
on ESPN, he was receiving votes. He was not even honorable mention.
Okay. So
He's in
and
the shadow
listen,
of Denzel.
for sure. But even PFF has Greg ahead of him. And I like Greg a lot, but didn't MJ have a better season last year than Greg?
Well, I just gave you those numbers.
Yeah.
Greg.
so
Greg also
was really good, and I think he probably should be on the list.
Greg had his best season last year. 14 games, career high, 2 interceptions, career high, 14 passes defense. Now, in those things that I was talking about, 58.2% completion, so that ranked 27th. 19% forced incompletions was tied for 6th with MJ, so it was very good there. 76.4 rating and coverage was 17th.
I'm
So-
not interested in Browns on Browns crime. I'm just saying
Very good.
Newsom makes the list.
We should have 3 of the
We
top
should have
32.
3. Yes. Yes. And Denzel ought to be a lot higher than 17, and MJ ought to be in the middle of it.
Yeah.
Well, on the ESPN list, Denzel is higher.
Yes. They get it right on him, right? Don't they have him, 2 or 3?
Number 2.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, the fact that did Greg Newsom receive votes in the
No.
ESPN? That's interesting. I mean, ESPN's going to 10.
ESPN's going to 10, and they're going to personnel guys, front
Yes.
office types. That's their
Yeah,
Yes.
I mean, ultimately it's 20 because by the time they get the honorable mentions in,
Yeah.
there's at least 7 or 8 right there, and then
And receiving votes.
yeah.
Adds up 20. So MJ's in the top 20 and amongst the league.
Yeah.
Even though he should be in the top 10. And Greg, they should all be in the top 32. It's really, it's not even, I don't even get it.
Let's do the consistency thing. Give me the PFF top 5 versus the ESPN top 5, Gibby.
Let me see if I can.
Let's see if Zagura can get him.
I bet Jalen Ramsey's still on there.
Number 5 for ESPN, number 6 for PFF.
Jalen Johnson.
Let me look here. Number 5 on the PFF list. I got to do some scrolling.
He should be in the top 10
Jalen Johnson, number 8 on the ESPN list.
Eight.
A lot of discrep here.
and 5. Sauce Gardner.
Number 1 and number 1.
Pat Surtain the second.
Actually, I'm sorry. I take that back. Sauce Gardner is number 3 on ESPN's list.
Okay.
Number 1 is Pat Surtain.
Okay.
And Surtain is 4 on the PFF.
All right, so we've gotten 1, 3, 5. You said Denzel was 2.
Yep.
Denzel Ward is, and what was he on the other one?
17 on the other. That's a
So I'm missing.
ginormous discrep.
All I'm missing is number 4.
Number 4 on ESPN. I'm going to give you the oh, come on, Internet. I'm right here. There we go. All right. Titans.
Titans.
Well, he didn't play for them in last season. He's a Titan now.
He just signed a big free agent deal with the Titans. A corner? Who did he play for last
Might have
season?
been traded there, I believe.
Was it a trade? Is that what it was?
Who did-
KC.
Oh, Legarius.
Yep.
Yes.
So Ramsey 5, and then
He was 12, by the way, on PFF.
Snead was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where's is like Darius Slay still on the lists? He might not be.
Number 6 on ESPN was Trent McDuffie.
Okay.
So KC last year had 2 of the top
Yeah,
6.
McDuffie was a late pick.
Yeah.
He was 20. He was 28 on the PFF.
Boy, this is the biggest discrepancy.
Yeah.
When we were doing this, like we were comparing ESPN
They've all
versus
been
PFF,
pretty
and they're
similar.
really close. This one is all over the place. Jair Alexander 7 on ESPN.
7 on the PFF.
Oh, there's one.
There's one.
Then
I think
Jalen
it's
Johnson
only-
was 8 on ESPN. And then Devin Witherspoon and Derek Stingley, top 10.
Okay. He was 5 on PFF. Devon Witherspoon was 9, Seattle.
Yep. Rookie. Really good player.
Yeah, he was.
Wolin fell off a little bit last year after a monster rookie season, but they have some pretty good.
So he was 9 on ESPN. He was 21 on PFF.
Yeah, there's a big discrepancy there.
10 was Derek Stingley Jr.
Yep, from the Texans.
Here's the quote on Denzel, who was second. Fast, fluid, upper-tier coverage skills, high football IQ, can create ball production in man or zone, but can match up against just about any number one receiver due to size and speed. He has the elite movement skills to cover in the slot when asked. In the words of this program, the best mirror corner in the NFL.
That's right.
Stingley was 27.
Yeah.
10 on. I mean,
They're
there's
all over the map on some of
all
these.
over the map.
Yeah, really are. I like it, though. I like the fact that there's still this much discrepancy sometimes in how the people who make the decisions and then PFF's algorithm spits it out.
Well, I think that the case I made for MJ Emerson is
That I don't understand how he's
those
not a
are the-
PFF.
those are their stats. And then somehow he doesn't have as good of a coverage grade as other people that you think would.
No, it's wild.
It's unique.
It is. Training camp is finally here, and the Cleveland Browns 50-50 raffle is open now. Go to the Browns mobile app or browns5050.com to purchase tickets and learn more. Get your tickets before kickoff of Browns and Packers. That is Saturday to take advantage of the early bird pricing. Don't miss your chance to win big while supporting youth in our community. Passing game coordinator Chad O'Shea coming up next. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. For a team of injury lawyers dedicated to every client every day, call 1-800-ELK Ohio. Elk & Oak's proud partner of your Cleveland Browns. And now from the podium, presented by Vivid Seats, official fan experience partner of your Cleveland Browns, here's wide receiver coach and passing game coordinator Chad O'Shea.
What did you see out of
You guys are down 8.5 minutes.
practice there on Sunday that you hadn't seen to this point from him?
Well, I think it's what we really, the most important thing is what we did see that we really liked in him prior to him being here, and that's his versatility. He was able to function inside force and make a play on a choice route, and then he jumped outside and was able to produce on a vertical route down the field. So the versatility is one thing that obviously we knew about, that it showed up on the field in his first few days with us. And then I think that what we didn't see, because you can't see on tape, is his ability to function mentally. He was able to handle a lot of volume, which is great with a person of his physical skill set. To match that with the ability mentally to move around and play different positions will be great benefit to us as a team and to him personally.
Hey Chad, there are rumors out there that the Browns might be trading here for Brandon Aiyuk. I'm not going to ask you about him personally, but how difficult is it to bring a guy in a month before the season starts and get him up to speed?
Yeah, my focus right now truly is on the guys that are here on this team. And I'm going to say this, the group that we have right now has worked so hard, both in the off season and then so far in training camp, of doing the things we asked them to do. They've been able to really stay in the present and really work to improve every day. And it's a very enjoyable group that I'm working with at the Cleveland Browns.
Sorry if you were asked this already, but how have you seen Cedric Tillman kind of tackle learning coming into this year, taking some of the things he maybe struggled with a little bit last year even, and apply them so he's ready for the year two?
Yeah, I feel like Cedric's really attacked the offseason. He's done the same here in training camp. He's really worked so hard to, again, learn the offense, to be better fundamentally. You can see a player in year two, how he's improved, but he's improved because of how he's approached it. And I can't say enough about his work ethic and what he's done to try to improve every day. I mean, we really have tried to put the focus with the receivers of just let's be day-to-day, stay in the present, and really work to improve daily, and he's a great example of that.
You said one of the things that he talked with you about was his consistency. So how did you see him just grow in that consistency and what you guys talked about in building that?
Yeah, that was the difference in his rookie year. There were some things that he did really well, and then there was a lack of consistency at times. But that's what he's really working hard on right now, to be a more consistent player in all areas. We ask the receivers to do so much, whether it's in the run game, it's in the pass game, even in some protection that we've asked Ced to do. And I believe that he's done a great job of embracing that role and being more consistent in all those areas.
How about David Bell? How is David coming along this year?
David's had a great training camp so far. I mean, the word that always comes with David is the word dependability. He's been dependable in various roles for us. He's able to handle multiple roles for us in different ways. He helps our team. So I can't say enough about David Bell. And again, when I say the word David Bell and his name, dependability comes right with that.
What have you seen with just Michael Woods, obviously coming off the unfortunate injury last year, and him getting back out here and having a chance to compete?
Yeah, I see a player in Michael Woods that had the injury last offseason, a player that's moving past the injury. I think both physically and emotionally. I think one of the things about coming back from an injury like that is not only physically you need to go out there and have the confidence you can do it, but most importantly is emotionally and mentally that you feel confident that you recovered from the injury, and I'm seeing that in his game. Mike's always been somebody that has really strived both at the line of scrimmage and the top of the route, his ability to separate, and you're starting to see those things like we knew Mike before the injury.
He's been on your roster, but Jamari Thrash, what have you liked from him and as you've gotten to see him out in the field and get to know him as a person?
Yeah, Jamari's, we knew he was a very instinctive player that brought some value inside as well as outside. And that's what we've seen so far on the field and in the meeting rooms. He's been able to kind of function in a couple different roles for us, whether he's inside or we choose to play him outside. He's done a real good job. And I think, like all rookies, he's really embracing just improving and learning from some veterans in the room that are a great example to him. Not only on, hey, what the plays are and how to run the routes, but how to be a professional daily. And he sure has been very enjoyable to coach so far, and he's working hard, and he's a player that I think is getting better every day.
Chad, I know that Amari's been around the block for a while, but his name's linked to these reports about the Aiyuk trade. Do you have to talk to him at all, or does he sort of one of those understand the business side of things?
Yeah, I mean, I think our team in general has done a great job here under Kevin's leadership of just ignoring all the outside noise. I really believe that. You think back of some of the challenges that we've had in recent years, of some of the things that have been outside of our building, like everybody has. Every team goes through that where you have noise outside the building. This team at the Browns has done a great job of ignoring that noise and just focusing on the job at hand. And today is to have a great practice and to have great walkthroughs and great meetings. And I can speak specifically for the wide receiver group. Their focus and their attention to detail and what they're bringing to the table as far as their work ethic every day has been outstanding.
Chad, we always hear about Amari's leadership in the locker room. We hear from players. What has he done for these young receiver core, I should say, this camp, especially with Zed coming back here too, Thrash, and others?
Yeah, Amari, I mean, we all know Amari on the field. We can see that. You can see it on tape. You can see it on TV. But what people sometimes don't realize about Amari, because he doesn't say a lot, right, is how strong of a leader he is for our team and specifically our younger players that are in the room. You take a rookie like Jamari Thrash, who has the opportunity to learn from Amari, and Amari is very willing to provide his insight and not only, again, the way in which you do things on the field, but maybe more importantly that for development of a rookie player is how to do things off the field, how to conduct business in the meeting rooms, how to build relationships with both your coaches and the players and your teammates. So Amari's leadership is very strong despite not being at times a very vocal person.
Chad, when you talk about asking the receivers to do a lot, do you feel like this system is different than others where maybe other teams don't ask their guys to do as much?
Yeah, I really feel good about our system in place now because it takes players to be very multiple in their roles, and that's why we've really gone out and tried to find versatility in our receiver group because the more versatile they can be, obviously we can move them across the formation. We can do different type of routes with them where they might have a couple options on some of these routes. So it's been very enjoyable working with Coach Dorsey. And merging some of the things we've done here in the past that have been good with some of the new ideas, and it's been very refreshing that way, both for the coaching staff and the players.
So Chad, watching like some of the one-on-one matchups between your guys and the DBs, it really looks like some of the most competitive portions of practice. Just from the other side, like how tough of a test are those defenders, Denzel, Martin, giving?
Yeah, I just came in the room a couple days ago and I said this is awesome for us as receivers to be able to face the competition we are on a daily basis. I mean, we're able to do a lot of crosswork with our secondary here at the Browns, whether it's a release drill after practice or working one-on-ones or obviously once we get into team settings, and have a tremendous amount of respect for our defensive guys and our secondary, and it's really what an opportunity that is for us to work against those guys. And they're great teammates. Our defensive guys are great teammates. They share things that they might have seen in our route. Hey, maybe do something different here or there. So that's the one thing that not only are they good players, but more important than that, our defensive guys are great teammates to the receivers.
All right, there you go. Chad O'Shea from the podium. So much more to come. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Hey, shout out to the McMullen family coming out to practice today. Todd, Sarah, Colin, Corey, enjoy yourselves.
Have a great time.
Gates open at 3:15, practice 4:15. We're back tomorrow to break it all down. Next Level is next. Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland.